Hey, what's up? Came on much faster than I thought. Haven't been on here. I don't think I was on here any last week. I do know that the volume may be a little bit low today, so you might want to turn your volume up because I just got back to set things up. Haven't seen you guys in a while, so I hope everybody is doing okay. I mean, in the group, but some of you guys just watch the channel. Um, but I hope everything is fine with you guys. I'm talking about a lot of important stuff today. Um, talk about some stuff that is pretty much the main news right now and some elephants in the room. And I'm going to be out of here quick because if I'm being honest, nobody wants to be around crypto too long when the markets are bearish. And I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to be on here just talking about nothing, but I want to talk about some. What just happened just there? Oh. Anyway, I want to talk about the important stuff and get on out of here. I wish I put my notes in better order, but I'm gonna just get through it. And I'm gonna jump right into it, real hot. Let's talk about the first thing. This thing with Mantra. I'm gonna just talk about it in an important way. I'm not gonna try to take any sides on this. Some people call it a rug pull. I know a lot of people asking me about it before. See, I already feel like I'm finna go deeper. Let me see. Yeah. Anyway, so people started asking about it as it began to run and being one of the bigger projects on RWA. Actually, if I go slower, it will make it go faster. So let me slow down. So one of the bigger projects in RWA. So a lot of people started to ask about it because a lot of people were talking about it, right? And so, a lot of people trying to put, they're putting blame on the team, saying the team is a scam. They're dumping. I haven't went deep enough to, see all that stuff. I haven't looked at the news that has come out as far as them saying that the team did in fact, or was in fact moving some tokens before the rug pull happened or before the drop happened. Let's say the drop. Before the drop happened, they said they did see movement in the wallets, even though the founder came out and said he didn't. And pretty much people were saying it came down to there was definitely some insider trading. Glassnode was saying that this couldn't have just been just the team or the founders themselves. It was a coordinated effort. This is something I've been saying that I feel like has slipped through people's ears 1,000 times because at the time I was saying it really didn't hold no weight. There was really no reason to talk about it. But I've been talking about this the whole cycle, where there are projects that people will get together. Let me talk about the real stuff. So basically, they'll get together on a project that has low dilution coming up in the future, which means most of the tokens are out. All right, they get behind projects that are very valid or look like great utility projects. So we're not talking about meme coins, even though I'm talking about something with meme coins later. But the project looks valid, has a team, been building a while, and sometimes you'll just get just regular market participants, whether that is 20% may be meme coin scammers, another 20% may be a bunch of influencers, another 20% may just be whales with a lot of money. They'll get together and they'll all be pumping a particular project, and they'll do it together. And so when it first started pumping, it's like, of course, the project from last cycle, and okay, cool, people coming back in that believed in the project. But after a while, the price action just wasn't. It's very bullish, but it didn't seem organic at all, which is why I've talked about it as one of the only projects that have one of the valid projects that have really moved the cycle. But after a while, you can tell that it wasn't organic and the price movement wasn't organic. And so, just like I said, whereas people came, and I'm not trying to be right or wrong, I really don't care. I'm just talking about it because it's news. A lot of people came out just directly blaming the team and the founders. It's pretty much coming out that it couldn't just have been them by themselves. Maybe they were 100% in there and a part of it, but it just couldn't have been them by themselves. And that's what I was saying after a while. The way that it was moving was just not organic. And I always say after I see certain people talking about certain projects, it makes me kind of want to back off because what y'all not real. Let me try to stick to my notes. What you're not realizing is, as I keep saying, a lot of people in the middle of the cycle were trying to BS you like, oh, we're not being affected by these market movements. We winning over here, right? Now this at the point in the cycle where everybody is admitting like, yeah, we kind of got washed out. We don't know what's going on in the macro and Trump and all this kind of stuff. So what happened is a lot of these people are losing money. So they get together to pump one particular project to make up for the money that they lost. Um, and the problem with this, whereas if you get into micro cap, you may put 1 or 2% of your portfolio in that. When this project was moving so bullish, or the price action was moving so bullish, it's convincing people to say, hey, I also have been losing a lot of money. Let me dump 20% of my portfolio in this, and 10%, and so a lot of people lost a lot of money because they felt like this was a bigger market cap project. As you know, you're like, oh, bigger market caps have less chance of failing. So people started pushing it, just being followers of the bigger influencers. And that's something I've been talking about the whole cycle. You don't want to be following an influencer who's just a follower of another person. They don't have a mindset of their own. They don't really research on their own. Only thing they do is like, man, this is a big influencer. I trust them. Therefore, let me just push it to my audience, right? And so a lot of people said, man, this project's been moving bullish. I couldn't lose that much on this because it's at 6 billion. But what you don't realize is these people have been pumping it inorganically the whole time because they're trying to make up their bags. And they know, because it's not a meme coin, that even people with more money would feel like it's safer than even something that has been doing well, like maybe a fart coin or something like that. Like, no, this is Mantra. This is a utility project. It's an RWA, looks good. And so I think I've explained that enough. So not all the time is just the team. I've been saying this. It's a group of people, and I'm pretty sure there were a lot of meme coin scammers in there too. And they all been working together. I said this early in the cycle. There's going to be a time where the scammers are working together with the reputable influencers or whatever, and they're gonna work together to make money. There's not really much else I want to say about that. Also, I'm just trying to say you got to be careful. Just because everybody starts talking about a project doesn't mean you just start dumping huge bags in there. You just got to look at how stuff is. It wasn't organic. That's all I can really say. I think I'm going to try to end this conversation right now. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Um, oh, I did have this. Yeah, I mean, this is just telling on to what I was saying. The same thing with Eric Trump, like when he pushed ETH. Of course, they got ETH bags, whatever. So you think everybody was telling their people like, oh, it's a good time to buy ETH because the president's son is buying it. So they're not, without any research, they're just like, they feel like Eric Trump, because he's Trump's son, it's got to be bullish. And then it tanked like 8% from there. So once you don't want to be following a person who's just another follower. There's a lot of projects I talk about that not many people talking about. Not trying to say I'm better than anybody. As I've been saying in the group, God, I'm so tired of the competition thing and trying to say who's a better influencer, who got the best Patreon, and all this stuff. I'm just simply saying that I do my own research, and I may talk about projects that nobody else is talking about, but it's because I researched it myself and I have my own conviction. I'm not waiting for Rand or George or somebody to talk about it, and that's what a lot of people are doing. They did it last cycle too with BitBoy and Becker, and that's going to get a lot of people wrecked this cycle, and it has. Like, if Rand talks about this, if Alex Becker talks about this, if Trump talks about it, or whoever talks about it, I'm gonna just tell my group to get into it because it's got to be bullish because they talked about it, and that's not the case. It's going to get a lot of people wrecked. Um, but yeah, I think I'm done with the whole Mansion thing. I'm not gonna go into dog in the project or anything like that. It just is what it is. You just kind of gotta, watch what you're getting into. Um, I think I'm about to be on my last topic, but I'm gonna talk about multiple things in this, or maybe I got two more topics. So give me just a minute. All right. I got two-ish more topics that because these are really important. So let me say it this way. I'm a person, I like using analogies. Hopefully y'all can hear me clear. I do know the audio is probably lower than it usually is, but so I'm a person. I'm really observant. I never try to be a fortune teller or anything. I'm really observant, and this one hits home for me because I was talking to a friend this weekend, and I was telling them about 2 years ago, a conversation that I've been telling y'all about. I work in the entertainment industry. And so I was telling him that this is probably 3 years ago now. I was like, stuff is not looking good, man. I said, stuff is not looking good. We have this thing called pilot season, which is the beginning of the year when people start shooting all the new TV shows for the next year. Like the numbers were going down, and I was telling him, man, I was like, man, it might be time to pivot. And he wasn't trying to hear it. He was just in denial, and was like, it's negative talk. I'm moving on faith, and I believe that blah blah. And sometimes I tell people you have what you call stupid faith. Sometimes you guys just realize that something is happening, and no matter what you want to happen, it's happening, and you can either be stupid and keep trying to push against it, or you can adjust. And so I decided to adjust, and I was telling him, I was like, listen, I know this is the thing we usually can I guess you say gloat about. Like, man, we work in entertainment. A lot of people want to work in entertainment. They want to be where we are. And I know that a lot of your ego rides on that, like saying that, I work in the entertainment, I work with this person and that person. But I was like, you need to um, pivot into something else, man. Find another side gig or something, because even though we may be safer because we've made a lot of money already, like this, we can't move and spend our money the same way we've been spending it, because the jobs are not going to be coming around. Anyway, he didn't listen to it. And I was talking to him the other day. He was asking me what I think about it. I wasn't trying to be like, I told you so, or rude, but I was like, I told you this was coming. Like, I don't know why. What do you mean? Will you ask me what I think about this? I already told you what I think about it. And so my point is, a lot of things are not going to make sense. 2 years ago, me telling somebody that the entertainment industry that's been around over 100 years was going to start dying or dwindling down didn't make sense to them. Now we had, I think it was Variety or IndieWire. It was some big entertainment news thing. They put out an article last week. I'm going to get to a point in a minute, y'all. Sorry. But they put out an article last week, and they was talking about how the writer rooms and the writing jobs have went down pretty much by like 80%. This is something I told him 2 years ago. I foresaw it happening. And so now the news is coming out, and the thing that sounded stupid 2 years ago now makes sense. Now to my main point. I keep talking about the pattern, y'all. And this me talking about it the same way I was talking about the entertainment industry 2 years ago. Right now, it sounds stupid. I know some of y'all probably like, it's kind of weird, man. He keeps talking about his pattern. Then he said he's not paying attention to the macro anymore, and it doesn't make sense to you. And I'm never trying to say that I'm a fortune teller, but so far, even as far as the moves that I haven't called out, everything is pretty much lining up. And one thing I keep seeing this morning when I look at the news is everybody saying this is stupid. I'm talking about the big macros, the soup wearers, the people on the news channels, the people on Twitter. Everybody saying, man, he said there was taking tariffs off semiconductors. Now it's back on. Matter of fact, let me just read this tweet. It sums up better, because I'll probably run my mouth too long. Let me just read this tweet. I got it somewhere. I'm not even gonna try to pull a Twitter. This streaming software been acting crazy. No, that's wrong. Hold on. Give me a minute. It's on Kobisi. Yeah. So he says, you can't make this up. Saturday began tariff exemptions on electronics and semiconductors being announced. This then became refunds on all tariffs in these categories dated back to April 5th, which then became electronic and semiconductor tariffs that were delayed for a month or two, which then became the tariffs that were simply being recategorized, which is now tariffs that are just moving to a different tariff bucket per Trump. President Trump just said the fake news knows this, but they refuse to report it. What is happening here? This is what I've been saying. Everybody's been saying for weeks. I'm not trying to say I'm the only source of alpha information, whatever, but I'm saying I'm the only one. It sounds stupid because I'm the only one talking about it, but everything I see is them, like I said, them just making statements to match this pattern. What was the statement Trump made? It was like Wednesday or Thursday. He just made out of nowhere. Listen to what I'm saying. He made the statement out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it. And it's only because it needed to line up with the pattern. I don't care how stupid anybody thinks I sound, because it's been lining up for about 4 to 5, maybe 6 weeks now. I don't know. I didn't count the weeks, but it's been lining up a long time. And it is just funny now that I'm following this pattern. When I come to look at the news, everybody that is the biggest macro news people, the people that are the most well studied, the people that usually have the information, they're saying, I'm confused. And just like he said, what is happening here? Everybody's got a question mark on the end of what they're saying. And these are usually people that even I trust, and I go look at to see what they're saying and figure out, what they think about the market, then kind of put what I think together with them. They're more confused than anybody. And that's why I think I said in the group, and I guess I try to make the thumbnail say the same, is macro news is what's going to wreck people. And matter of fact, if I think about it, it's what wrecks people every cycle. And that's why people are like, dang, how do we not sell the top? Because you were paying attention to the macro news, which to everybody else sounds like an ignorant thing to say, because it's like, that's what we move on. And it's the macro news is what affects the stock market. But as I've been saying the whole cycle, if they know that you know it, they're going to use what you know against you. And so now I don't feel so stupid following this pattern, because the whole time I'm following the pattern, if they say something that seems bullish and the pattern doesn't say that it should be bullish right now, I just don't even pay attention to it. Like, and that's what people say, wow, what's happening? Trump said this today and this happened. So why isn't the market responding? And they're just getting flustered because it makes no sense. And I'm just like, watching the pattern, it kind of shows me what's supposed to be happening. And what you'll see happening is you'll see some very bullish news come out. And I'll look at the pattern. And if the pattern doesn't say the market isn't supposed to move, that it'll be super bullish news and it'll fade away. But you know what'll happen? If the pattern says that it's supposed to go up, they'll come out with some news that's half bullish, not even as bullish as the news that was said before. All of a sudden, they'll say this news is why the market pumped, and it's like, that's kind of bullish, but it's not really that bullish, and whatever. I'm just telling y'all, I'm really starting to believe more and more in this pattern, and some of the moves I see coming up are going to lead people to say stuff that's going to lead people astray. It's not going to be what people think. Yeah, I think, like I said, the macro news is going to get a lot of people punched in the face. It's going to lead a lot of people astray and cause them to say, actually, I already see people saying stuff like, watch out, blah, blah, blah is about to happen. And I'm looking at the pattern like, okay, like you can say that if you want to, but I don't think that's what's about to happen. Once again, I'm not trying to be Mr. I told you so. I'm not trying to say I know better than anybody, because as I keep telling y'all, I'm still watching the pattern. So far, it's been lining up for weeks. I can't knock that. Some of the smaller moves I definitely don't call out. I'm gonna actually talk about some of the bigger stuff in the group later. And yes, I'm gonna keep most of this in the group for the people that's in there, because you got to be paying for something. But I see some of the moves that's coming up is going to lead a lot of people astray that I'm seeing. We'll find out if what I'm looking at is the truth or not. And I'm gonna call it out pretty exact. So there's no, how people like to half say stuff so they can be like, oh, what I was saying was, no, I'm gonna say exactly. And if it's wrong, it's just wrong, right? But I'm gonna say what I see coming up. But I think the macro news is gonna lead a lot of people astray. They're using the macro news, I feel like, definitely for misdirection. And like I said, if they say something bullish and the pattern doesn't look bullish to me, I'm gonna just sit there. Yeah, but like I said, I think the most important thing was me seeing the pattern was supposed to be bullish in Trump just putting out whatever he said. I don't even remember. I'm telling you, that's how much I'm barely paying attention to this stuff right now. But it seemed like he just had to throw it out there. He had to throw something out there because the pattern called for it. And we need this part of the market to be bullish. And I think what I call, since this one is over, I'll talk about this one. And so what I was saying in the group, I told you I call this, I think what I said, we've been calling it little ups. And little ups means just that. It's little up. Like they want to move the market up, but don't expect too much for it. Don't be thinking it's going to go crazy. And so that's what he did. He made his little statement for the little up. Therefore, they can say this is the reason why the market is going up, because I think we went from like maybe I think it was like 80, maybe 79 to up to like 84,000, something like that is where we went. But they got that move in that they wanted, and that's what the pattern was showing. I was seeing this thing where last time it seems like, I don't know if you say people are front running it, but it seems like but I can also be 5 days late on my pattern, right? And I said that. So maybe they're front running it by 5 days, the news that they know they're going to put out, right? Or maybe my pattern's just behind. But I'm within that 5-day window so far of all the moves. But yeah, I'm following this pattern. I know it's probably a crazy thing for y'all to hear me talking about this long, but it's really been lining up for me. Let me keep on my notes so I don't get too off, of course. I already said that macro news is going to lead people straight. I already talked about the semiconductor thing, just going back and forth. They're going back and forth because they need to say it to make you bullish, but it's like, hold on, wait. Y'all getting too excited, so let's pull this back. And that's what they're doing. They're just using the macro news to manipulate people. I think that's the clearest I could say that. I don't know why I can say that earlier. Sorry, I got to get used to it. It's kind of how I am because I got a lot of stuff in my head. I'm not even gonna say that statement. I'll talk about that in the group. I'm sorry. Let me go back to something. Real quick. But with the whole mantra thing, I skipped a note. I'm gonna say this real quick. You got to realize not all the times is it the team, because that's what people always jump to, and people know this. They know you're going to jump on the team and the founders when they're blaming the stuff. But like I said, it's probably just regular people in the market, top influencers, and mainly market makers. The same thing has happened with these meme coins. I remember at the beginning of the cycle, And I'll say this, was gloating a lot about like, oh yeah, I know the meme coin pumpers and stuff, which I do, but it came out later in the cycle that it wasn't even the meme coin pumpers; it was market makers pumping these different the meme coins that y'all know is the ones that did well the cycle. The whiffs. Y'all know what I'm talking. I think Pepe was probably the most organic. I will say that. But far as like the rest of them, it was just market makers pumping the stuff. It wasn't even in the control of the meme coin pushers. They helped in it. You know what I mean? Because after a while, they jumped on the bandwagon or whatever. But yeah, the same thing was happening like Mantra and some of these projects, which is why I say you got to be careful. If you miss the bigger move of it, then sometimes you just got to be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna make my money somewhere else. Um, yeah, I talked about the forceful statements to match the pattern. Talked about the glass node. Um, I talked about the people following Eric Trump because they felt like he knew what he was talking about. All right, I think I hit all that. I'm gonna do my better notes better next time. I'm sorry, y'all. Um, this I'm gonna talk about this too. It's kind of crypto related, and I'm gonna try to be quick about it. It's probably gonna make some people upset. Listen, y'all. I love where I live. I love the country and all that good stuff. This is may not be crypto related, but it has to do with your future and how you spend your crypto earnings, y'all. Um, Now I know I've said the stuff that I said, which is true about them using the tariff things to manipulate the market to push it up and down where they want it to be. But one thing I can say is the United States is not in the best place, and a lot of people been saying, as a lot of people have been saying, like we use a lot of our we use a lot of bullying tactics to like manipulate people and try to control other countries or whatever, whether it be through war, like the joke going around, like when people have oil, all of a sudden we want to go over there and we start, dropping, what we drop on countries or whatever. And so, um, yep, I've been saying this, the bullying tactics are drying up. And there's a lot of people been saying the problem with why China can be bugged back is because like they have a lot of the manufacturing. They're the ones that created a lot of products. Well, I know we have jokes about this forever and ever about made in China and all this kind of stuff. But as a lot of people saying, like that's the actual power. They're the actual ones that are creating the products because yeah, we know some of these are sweatshops and child labor and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is in the United States that everybody, as I've been saying, everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be upper class. Everybody wants to, and we don't have anybody that wants to be workers anymore. Because the truth is, the people who are the workers and the people who do idiotic influencer stuff, whether that be TikTok comedy, dances, or whatever, these people are making more money than the people that are actually working. One of the things that people have been talking about forever is like teachers don't even get paid. That's a very noble job, and we don't even pay them enough. And that's what affects what our future looks like. But instead of us teaching our children about AI and all this kind of stuff, they're more focused on TikTok dances and all this stuff. And people, you know, people feel like United States can't be taken down or whatever. And that arrogance is what, as the Bible say, pride becomes before a fall. And we're so prideful about how much power we got and how strong our military is, but it's not even going to take that. If you got a country full of stupid people because all they focus on is TikTok dances and trying to go viral, then that country is going to eventually start dwindling down. Like people saying, we got the other countries got fast bullet trains and stuff like that. We still got these old stale trains that's been around since 1917. Like where are our bullet trains? Where's our technology or whatever? And we keep saying how we're number one in everything. We're behind in a lot of stuff, man. This doesn't mean I'm not patriotic or I don't love the country, because some of y'all brains just go crazy when people start talking about stuff like this. Like we're behind in so many areas because of our arrogance and saying how strong our military is. But now you used to bully these people. They're like, yo, you're not scaring us anymore. We make all the products that y'all need. Y'all don't make anything in y'all country because nobody wants to be a worker anymore, because y'all made it look so bad to be a worker. Like, oh, you pathetic poor person, you work at a factory job, so therefore I'm better than you because I work at whatever type of job. We really need to fix this, man. I don't know who's going to get the message out there, but in the real side of it, outside of the market manipulation, did I just go out? Okay. Outside of the market manipulation, Um, we I don't know what's going to happen, y'all. That's why I've been telling my friends, like, you can make money wherever you want, stock market, crypto, even if it's your regular job. This ain't the time to be tricking off, because we're at a real shift in the industrial world, or where the powers may be. Like every people every person has ever ruled, from the Roman Empire to Genghis Khan. They didn't know they were about to go down because they were running stuff. You couldn't have told Genghis Khan that he was about to, he was about to be overtaken. Like, this is one of the most powerful civilizations that ever lived, and if we're being honest, people barely talk about his era anymore. Because he didn't see himself going to go down because they had the power. And I think the United States really needs to start paying attention, because the only thing people thinking about, the powers that be, the 1%, only thing they're focused on is how much money they can make in the short term, whether that's through stocks, crypto, or ads on social media. Like, they're not thinking long term. We have a very selfish society. Like, you can get mad at me for saying it, but it's true. Everybody is all individualism, where these other countries are focused on the upward trajectory of their entire company, their entire civilization, all of their citizens. We always trying to find who can we abuse next to make more money off the next person, and it's gonna bite you in the back. And in the short term, you're gonna feel like you got all this money, but then there's not. If I'm sorry, this is a rant that I didn't plan. I'm just on my soapbox right now. So, like, if you're taking money from everybody and you're abusing people, and you got all these companies, who's going to have money to spend on your companies? It's going to drag you down eventually too. Like, that's what I'm saying. People's pride is really it's causing them to shoot their own selves in the foot. I don't know if I can say the S word on stream, but whatever, I already said it. It's causing them to dig a ditch for themselves too, man. And it's not like a thing. Like, you got to realize they got billions of people. We can't just up and build as many factories as they had. They've been doing this for decades. They've been building these factories forever. Once again, yes, I do realize some of them sweatshops and child labor, but they've been building Nike and microchip factories forever. We can't just do this overnight. And so these bullying tactics that people are trying to use, they're like, bro, we make all y'all products. Like, we not scared, bro. Like, that bullying tactics is not going to work anymore. And I'm gonna say it's a bunch of old people. That's what I'm gonna say. It's a bunch of old people. We barely have millennials. Definitely not no Gen Z people in there that's thinking different. It's just a bunch of old men using tactics that they used to use in the 1960s, because they're not innovators. They're not critical thinkers, and they're using these tactics that we used in the 60s, 70s, and 50s that don't work anymore. So it's a crazy time to be in the States, man. Whether y'all want to admit it or not. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, yeah, they're using this stuff it's two sides of it. It sounds like I'm talking out two sides of my mouth. I realize that. But yes, they're using tariff news to manipulate markets, but there's going to be parts of this tariff stuff and this industrial stuff that is actually real, that's going to have real impact. Um, so I'm just saying it as like another warning. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about this because I talked about him and I see where he's at now, and he's very depressed because I was trying to tell him 2 years, man. I know it's not what you want to hear, man. But I know you love to say, man, I'm in film and TV, and I was like, but it's not going to be a thing to gloat about in the next 2 years. And so when I was making all my moves, even when I started this channel and I started doing less work in film and TV and music, my friends was like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, I see these jobs here, man, but it's kind of time to pivot. Like, you got to find something else, and they wasn't trying to hear it. Now, and I'm not saying this in a gloatful way because I feel sorry for them, but now they're depressed and they're trying to figure out like where I move from here. And I was already trying to set myself up, to move into something else. Anyway, that's all I can say, man. I know the pattern sounds stupid right now. This probably didn't come out as clear as I wanted it to, but I know it sounds crazy right now, but it's been lining up for me. I'm gonna keep following them. Tell you in the group, but I think seeing coming up, if it comes true, it comes true. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not about me trying to be right, as I keep saying. It's about me trying to get us safely out of the market at the right time. And macro news is going to lead a lot of people astray to think that we're still going to be going to Valhalla, and they're probably going to be left in the market. Um, Actually, I'm pretty sure I probably did. If I would grade myself on this live, it'd probably be like a C minus, because I probably didn't get this as clear as I wanted to. But I don't know. Maybe I understood what I was saying. And if you have any questions or comments, you can ask them in the chat. Let me get my monitor up. Carmen said, good morning. Good morning to you too. What's up, Tad? Good morning to you too. I'm still calling you Tad. Fake out pump or genuine. I feel like Trump is playing pump and dump games with the market. Let me say this too. I say this for whether you conservative or liberal. It's not Trump. Like I was saying the other week, he's making these statements out of nowhere. Even when he made the first tariff announcements, did you not see how he was looking at that board? He was looking at the board like, what am I reading? He already had in his mind was going to be up there, and they knew if they gave him the information too early, he was going to talk too much, and they threw it on him on the spot, y'all. I keep saying the same thing. I'm not changing. The president is nothing but a mascot, y'all. It is what it is. But the powers that be, are definitely playing pumping up games with the market. I'm gonna talk about it in a group, like almost. I think as soon as I get off stream, I skipped my workout this early this morning, so I'm gonna have to do that later. But I'm gonna try to talk about this when I get off the stream in the group. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I think. Kate said, hi y'all, hi y'all. Where you from, Katie? Y'all. I got just a message. Bassford said, yes, this is true. We feel this here in Germany. Which part was that? You said it's crazy that car workers in Germany can't afford their own new build electric cars. Right. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know what it's like in Germany, but like, yeah, it's like become a thing, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. But really, we talking about over the last 20, 30 years before some of us were born. Like, it's like, ew, you work a regular job, you work in a factory job, you work a trade job, which in a lot of these trade jobs make more money than people with degrees, if we're being honest. But yeah, that negative stipulation they try to put on workers, like, ooh, you don't work on Wall Street, or you're not a millionaire. Like, we need these people for the world to go around. And not only do we need these people, the problem is you made it look bad and made people look like they're poor because they work a regular job. Two, you didn't pay them enough. And this is a conversation we've been having for a long time. Like, the wages haven't even gone up in like probably since before I was born. You know, I'm like, seriously, like minimum wage like has barely went up. Like, the cost of houses have went up at least 4 times, and wages have probably went up maybe 17, maybe 30% since like the beginning of the 90s. Like, that's not exaggeration. Like, the minimum wage or whatever wage has barely went up 15 to 20% since the beginning of the 90s, but the cost of living has went up like 4 times, 4 times as much. Not paying teachers, not paying the warehouse workers. Um, it's crazy, and it's coming to bite people in the foot. I'm trying to say statements I can say on stream without getting struck, but we in an ugly time, man. Everybody wants to be the upper class. Um, it's a bad time, man. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, man. I don't know. So yeah, no, I'm not talking about two sides of my mouth. They're definitely making tariff statements to manipulate the market, but this tariff thing could really affect us in the future. And I'm talking about 5 or 10 years or whatever. Um, America needs to stop just playing bully games in order to keep stuff under control and actually have some innovation, have some critical thinkers to say how we need to move in our economy, and just stop trying to inflate housing prices to make themselves rich, because they about to die. If we're being honest, a lot of these people that's manipulating the markets, they about to die off. They don't care how they leave this to their children and their offspring. And I know that sounds like some We Are the World stuff, but for real, like, they don't even care. They don't care as long as they can make their money in the long term, and give each other high fives on yachts. It's stupid, man. I don't know. I'm about to get mad. So let me get out of here, bro. We got a lot of stupid people in this country, man. That's all I can really say. And they only think about themselves. We need some free thinkers and critical thinkers, and to start spending money where it really matters. Like, build more factories for more jobs, create stuff in the United States, start working on better technology with trains, transportation. I still people seeing people go, like, I see people in smaller towns like, oh, I wish we had a train system like Chicago and New York, because they have such an efficient transportation system. Not really anymore, especially compared to other countries. Like, I hear what y'all saying. Like, got trains and buses that go, you know, further out than some cities, but that system is old, man. We need to start innovating. Let me get out of here. We need to start innovating. Um, yeah, I got a lot of stuff in my head. Anyway, I'm gonna talk to y'all in the group what I see going on with this pattern. I'm trying to make it short and concise. If you have any questions, misunderstandings, you can ask questions. But I think I'm gonna make it like very clear, and then we'll see how it plays out. It is the same here. Plus, we have war that we have not started. We spent is that 100 billion in military now. Yes, man. Everybody with the old bully games, man. And yeah, I understand everything can't be peachy cream. We can't all be Miss American pageant contestants and comb each other's hair and put each other's makeup on. But the bully tactics is going. Even with the war stuff, man. Like, just learn how to work together. But they can't because they got egos. Um, but yeah, I don't think people think about this. We are really behind on job creation in the states because everything is about the quick dollar, influencers, and I said this stuff already. But oh man, as y'all can see, I got a lot of stuff in my head. But hopefully y'all understood what I said. Um, it's not much else to talk about. But yeah, let me get in the group, tell y'all what I think about this thing, and I gotta get to my workout later because I could take care of my mental health and my physical health and all that good stuff. Anyway, if you want to join the Patreon, it's at patreon.com/cryptozo. And I'm gonna catch y'all next time.